You know, it feels like in today's world, so many business schools are starting to look and sound exactly the same. But what if a tradition that's almost 500 years old holds a pretty radical solution? In this explainer, we're going to dive into how the Jesuit model offers this incredibly powerful brand identity, one that's built not just on profit, but on character. So let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by talking about something called the commodity trap in business schools. Then we'll look at the Jesuit solution from 3 angles: what kind of graduate they aim to create, how they do it, and the deep why behind it all. And finally, we'll tie it all together to show you why this is such a distinctive brand advantage.
Okay, first up, the business school commodity trap. Let's dig into what this critique of modern business education is all about.
Seriously, think about it. Why do so many business schools feel the same? I mean, you look at their websites, their brochures, it's all the same promises, right? High-paying jobs, amazing networks, the latest skills. But when everyone is chasing the same metrics, do they all just become kind of interchangeable?
And look, this isn't just some random critique from the outside. This is coming from right inside the establishment. Rakesh Khurana, a professor at Harvard Business School, put it this way: too much of contemporary business education offers a narrow concept of the role of business in society. It is not holistic. The leadership training in business schools tends to be narrow, functional, and specialized. What he's really saying is that this laser focus on just shareholder value and technical skills makes the education, well, narrow. It completely misses the bigger questions, like what's business's real role in society?
And that leads us straight into this idea of the commodity trap. Think about it like, I don't know, salt. When all salt is just salt, you just buy the cheapest one. The same thing happens here. When schools are all chasing the same rankings, the same starting salary numbers, they start to lose what makes them unique. They become a commodity. And at that point, they're not competing on their unique character or value anymore, but just on price, or in this case, prestige. And this is the exact problem the Jesuit model is designed to fix.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, the Jesuit approach starts with something called the profile. This is all about the what, defining exactly what kind of graduate they're trying to create.
And at the core of this whole thing is a really powerful idea from Father Peter-Hans Kolvenbach, S.J., who was the former head of the Jesuits. He basically said, look, the real measure of our success isn't the job title someone gets or the salary they make. It's about who they become as a person. Just that one shift in thinking changes everything. It moves the goalposts from just being competent at a job to, well, to holistic human formation.
So what does this ideal person look like? Well, it's defined by what are called the 4 C's. First up, you have competence. And yeah, of course, graduates need to be professionally skilled. That's a given, but it's only the starting line. Next comes conscience, having a really solid ethical compass and truly understanding the social imbalances in the world. And then there's compassion, which is about more than just sympathy. It's about feeling with others, really opening your heart to their struggles. And finally, and this is crucial, there's commitment. It's the drive to actually do something about that compassion, to work for a more just world. That is the what. That's the profile they're aiming for.
All right, so if the 4 C's are the destination, how in the world do you actually get there? That brings us to the methodology. This is the how, the practical playbook for building these kinds of leaders.
And making this distinction is absolutely crucial. Let's be super clear here. Kolvenbach's 4 C's, that's the goal. That defines who the leader becomes. Lowney's 4 pillars, on the other hand, that's the process. It's how a leader actually gets there. One is the destination, the other is the roadmap.
So Chris Lowney did something brilliant. He took these core Jesuit ideas and translated them into 4 modern leadership pillars. First, there's self-awareness, which comes from a centuries-old practice of daily reflection called the examen. Then you have ingenuity, this ability to adapt and innovate in a crazy, changing world. The Jesuits had a term for it, vita agilis, which literally means living with one foot raised, always ready to pivot. Third is love, which sounds a little unusual for business, right? But it's about cura personalis, or care for the whole person, which is a pretty profound leadership style. And finally, heroism. This captures that Jesuit spirit of magis, which isn't about being perfect, but about always striving to do more, to aim higher, for the greater good of everyone.
So we've got the what and we've got the how, but any great brand, any great philosophy needs a why. And that brings us to the deepest level, the foundation. This is the intellectual and philosophical core that gives the whole thing meaning.
This deep foundation is called the Kolvenbach paradigm. It really explains the purpose of it all, and it rests on 4 big ideas that all work together. First is utilitas, or utility. Basically, education has to be useful, it has to serve society. Second is justitia, or justice. The goal is to form people who will go out and build fairer, more just systems. Third is humanitas, or humanity, the idea that you have to develop the entire person, not just the professional part. And finally, fides, or faith. This is the search for a deeper, transcendent meaning that really anchors the other 3. Because honestly, without this why, the what and the how we just talked about, they're just empty techniques.
And this stuff isn't just abstract philosophy, you know? Thinkers like Father Robert Spitzer, S.J., figured out how to make it real, how to bring it to life through specific themes. This is how things like service learning, a huge focus on business ethics, and social responsibility get baked right into the curriculum. It's how those huge ideas from the foundation actually become something students live and breathe every day.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. In this last section, we're going to see how all these layers stack up to create a truly distinctive brand advantage.
It really boils down to a simple but powerful formula. You've got the profile, the what. You add the methodology, the how, and you build it all on the foundation, the why. And what do you get? A competitive advantage that's built on something much deeper than just skills. It's built on character.
Chris Lowney just nails the strategic takeaway here. He says, do not be drawn into competing on the playing field the way other universities would like to draw it. Instead, redraw the playing field. What he's saying is, the point isn't to be a little bit better than the school down the street. The point is to change the entire game, to compete on a completely different set of values that are all about human excellence and serving the world.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. We live in a world that is demanding more and more from businesses, right? They need to contribute to society, act ethically, solve massive problems, not just make a profit. And in that kind of world, maybe an education built on character isn't just an advantage. Maybe it's the only advantage that will truly matter.